All right, hello everyone. I hope you can hear us clearly. So we are here today, Bernhard and I. So my name is Quentin, to do the AMA session. So yeah, the Ask Me Anything session for Songs of Silence. Maybe we can start by presenting ourselves. So Bernhard, I let you start.
Sure, thanks, Quentin. I'm Bernhard. I'm production director here at Chimera Entertainment. I've been with the company quite some time and also been on Songs of Silence basically since we first started to talk about the game here in Chimera quite some years ago. And it's been a great journey, and I'm happy we have the game in early access now and we can get your guys' feedback. We can talk about what's next and see how you react to our ideas and what we can potentially make better.
Exactly. My name is Quentin. I am the project manager on Songs of Silence. I arrived at Chimera in May 2023, so that's about a year, just over a year, or a bit more than a year now. And I handle basically the roadmap and delivery for the game. So the working with the devs, game designers, artists, tech artists, DevOps, everyone, and making sure that we are hitting our objectives. If not, communicating with the marketing team and saying, hey, slight change of plans. This might come later, this might not come at all, things like this. But so it's very fun, and every day is a challenge. That's for sure. Before we move on, could we just have a confirmation that you can hear us clearly? Somebody in the chat say yes, okay, whatever. If anybody is able to write in the chat, that is, of course. If not, we will just proceed. And
Okay,
cool.
Yeah,
Thank you, Dan Vogel. All right, so we got several questions from the community, essentially via Discord. There was on the channel, Ask the Team, a special dedicated post for this. So we received multiple questions from people, which we will be answering, but do feel free to ask more here in the chat on Twitch or in Discord. We have actually opened it on the side. Up to you. And I guess I can, Bernard, maybe you want to start with the
Sure.
opening question.
So just that you also know, right, we're the masters of the roadmap. We're not the masters of the game design. So you can ask us things, what we're gonna do next, how we see things, right? If it's like on super specific things, like how does the balancing of that unit work? Maybe they're not the best. Maybe we could do another stream actually with our game design team for exactly that stuff. But I think let's just dive into it.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to take me the first one? Or?
Yeah, go ahead, take the first
Sure,
one.
sure. So the first question we got was actually about Steam points, and if we're gonna support this on Steam, right? We have a lot of cool art in the game. Is it something we're gonna enable you on Steam? And yes, this is something we're currently actually working on with Steam. We have a first draft which is currently in review, bouncing with Steam, getting their feedback, and setting this all up. So this is hopefully something we can deploy to you soon with one of the next updates.
Yeah. And to give more details on these Steam Points shop items, what we currently have planned are Steam backgrounds, emoticons, maybe more if we have art capacity, but we really wanted to at least do the backgrounds and the emoticons. We looked at what games do in general, and this is the usual things that a lot of games do. Especially for, let's say, an indie studio. But let's see if we have capacity, we'll bring more. And yeah, just to give you a little, I guess, behind the scenes, we are in back and forth with Steam. They are very particular and meticulous about how the asset should look like. And since it's kind of the first time, like as a studio, we're doing our self-publishing, and there's a lot of things we're discovering for the first time. So yeah, we're in these back and forth, but we actually, yesterday, I worked with the creative director, Chris, and managed to get, I think, a version of the assets that will be approved by his team. So fingers crossed, it's now sent back for approval. And just a note on the, let's say also on the backgrounds, there are additional backgrounds for multiple formats that you can get through the Steam DLC. So then it's something that you that gets on your computer. It's like specific files, you can get them. So yeah, we also have additional backgrounds in multiple formats, vertical and horizontal, in the DLC on Steam. All right, second question. This time we move on to the game. Hello, who just came? Hello, barcode incoming. So second question this time is about game UI and UX and comes from Slab. The question is, will we be able to choose our faction color in skirmish and multiplayer games in the future?
One of the top voted requests you guys actually have in our feedback tracker, right?
I think it's the most requested thing, which, by the way, fun fact, I'm colorblind, so I would say I don't give, but no, we heard you, we're gonna do it. It's just right now, we have to think, how do we make this work? This is actually a very, typically the kind of thing that it seems easy on the surface, but then you have to ask yourself, okay, wait a minute, if I choose my color, does that mean that the other players can't pick this color, or is it just like for me? And then it gets into this whole topic. Okay, I see a question. Will this AMA be on YouTube as well? Yes, it's actually normally streaming on YouTube currently. If it's not, let us know, but normally it should. And it will also, we will have the video, we'll make a cut down and then post it to YouTube. But yeah, so the faction color, yes, long story short, yes, we want to bring in the choose your own color in skirmish and multiplayer. We just have to figure out how this, we want to make this work. So yeah.
And I think you know our roadmap, right? There's a couple of bigger items we're still working on, especially to bring you more content. So of course, right, this is, I would say, not the most pressing issue the game has at the moment. But yeah, we want to do that because it's a cool thing.
I'll let you do the next one.
Cool. Then the next one was from Corusame. I hope I pronounced it correctly. We're looking forward for the visual effects update in the battle to get more clarity, and want to have a little bit of thoughts like how we want to approach that. And that's actually a good question because, right, this, we know ourselves, if you have a lot of units ongoing in the battle, there's a lot of effects triggering all over the place. It can sometimes be a little bit hard to really understand what's going on. And I would say there's a couple of solutions we have in our mind for that. We haven't really finalized how we're going to tackle this. One would be to basically prioritize things, not have them all play at the same time, like you maybe know from audio systems, right, where you're not play all the sounds at the same time, but you have them somehow prioritized. Another idea we have is also maybe supported with UI, right? Maybe have more UI in place, but you can actually better understand and see what's going on. A third option is actually to work on the effects, on the contrasts, on the rendering itself. So this becomes a little bit more clear. I think we had versions of the games where it was much worse in the beginning, and we more or less so far mostly tweaked it by just enhancing the contrasts. How good these things are readable, maybe adjust some of the effects. So yeah, there's multiple ways we can actually tackle this, but we're not working on this right now at the moment. Yeah.
But we have it on our list. Moving on to the next question from Prototype. My main issue, I'm going to read it the way he said it. My main issue with the game, I still love it a lot. I want to play the game with my friends in multiplayer, but it is simply too time intensive to enjoy more than a small 1v1 in the average short free time in the evenings during the week. My question, therefore, would be if the team is open to explore or even working on more short match-oriented game modes. My idea would be fates that change the individual match to simultaneous turns, or drastically remove animation durations when maneuvering the overworld map to cut down on waiting and observing. So that is actually another very good question, so thank you. The short answer is yes, we want and we will improve the overall sequencing. It's something that has been voiced not just by you players or the community, it's also internally something we know. For example, sometimes the army, when the units disappear, when they've lost a fight, it's too long. Sometimes the loot wagon cashing in can be a little long. And it's these small things that put together actually make sometimes give the impression that it can be a little long. So this is something, yes, that we want to improve. And for the game modes, yes, we have ideas for fates. Also, we have a feature that's going to be coming in update 3. I think it's currently planned, the challenge maps, in which we would have very specific maps that have a key, that focus on one key mechanic. So it can be, for example, I don't know, very short, almost blitzkrieg type of gameplay, where the player only has 30 seconds to make choices, or they're very battle focused, or roguelike. We had several ideas, but it's definitely So the answer to this question isn't like there's not one unique monolithic answer. We want to tackle this issue through different ways. Like I said, one is improving the overall sequencing, 2, proposing game modifiers that increase the pacing of turns in general, and then 3rd, proposing unique scenarios. It's what we call now the challenge maps, that would be geared towards a very quick gameplay. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I mean, one of the questions was also there, or one part of the question, how about the multiplayer, right? I think that was also mentioned here, right?
Oh yeah, playing at the same time.
Simultaneous turns.
Yeah.
So that's something we've been discussing actually since the start of the project. If we want to support it, if we can support it even technically. You may have noticed, right, that if you play multiplayer, you can play the battles real time. So we have a technical foundation which would allow us to do something like that, but it raises a lot of design questions for the game, right? We would really have to solve, because otherwise it becomes just RTS, where it's very Twitch based, and it has also like a lot of technical edge cases which we have to work around. So at the moment, this is not something on our short-term horizon which we're working on. Our plan was always to keep it a turn-based game and provide you experience which is faster, right? Work on the sequencing, make this faster, have something like the timers in the game who can make it faster, and see if you can create a game out of that which is fast enough, right, to really make fun in multiplayer. You can also play around with some fates. I saw people often playing without the fog of war, because then you have the advantage, you can actually see, right? I see what Quentin is doing, and I don't have to stare at my screen. But this may be something we come back on later, right? And this could be a thing we work on over a longer period of time. But it's not an easy win. It's not a quick thing to do. And we also saw other games who approached this topic that they actually needed a lot of time to really get this working, and it's not easy in terms of strategy, simply from a design point, if I ignore even the tech.
Yeah, so long story short, it's in our mind, but we won't act on it right now. Next question, I guess, is for you.
Yeah, this is by Solid Jesus asking about Alex, who said that the goal is that all units should have a place in the game, rather than the game being a spam this one on it to win strategy game, right? So they love it, it's a cool thing, but how do players get the clarity and understanding of what the unit identity actually is? Right, and I think this is sometimes a little bit tricky, right, in our game, because we have like very unique, very cool designs who may not be that easy recognizable because we're not so cliche, right? I guess with a catapult, you easily get what they do. With the bullet cavalry, you get more easily what to do. With old racing crusade, it may not be so obvious. So what we're trying right now is really solving this also with UI. We have the tooltips in the game, which we are still improving. The texts we present to you there. So yeah, this is our approach right now. But yeah, we realize that especially old race crusade, right, this are a little bit more more tricky factions to understand each and every unit. Also, one of the reasons, right, why we have the encyclopedia in the game, so you can actually go in there and read it through and try to understand it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, moving on to the next question. Again, for those who are joining us, so welcome to the third AMA session of Songs of Silence. If you have any questions, again, feel free to post it in the chat, whether it's on Discord or here on the Twitch chat, which we are monitoring. So continuing with, I think...
the second page.
Yeah, I'll just turn to the second page. So this time we're going to be moving on to game content. So this question comes from Korusame again. Will we get any hints as to what the fourth faction will be during early access? We got for sure a lot of very interesting suggestions on Discord, and well, I think a lot of people want to see something that's fantasy related. On our side, we also were thinking, should we maybe go into something that's more classic? Long story short, we haven't made actually a decision currently as to what we want to do. We are in the process of studying it. And what I can say for sure is we want to make something that's obviously meaningful, that ties in well with the game. If we are to do a new faction like completely from scratch, this is very dev heavy. It involves a completely new design, coding things from scratch, because then we have to implement and balancing them with the other factions and make sure that it doesn't break the game. So trying to find something that allows us to do that hits the sweet spot where we propose new content, something that's fresh, but at the same time that doesn't require to basically build a new chunk of the game from scratch.
Or maybe I can give a hint, right, that there's already like units in the game which kind of form a faction, but they're not an official faction yet. So maybe this could be also something.
Exactly. If you have an idea, feel free to ping us. We won't play the yes or no game, but you can still try.
I actually forgot a question on the previous page
from
Solid Jesus. It was about the prosperity level 3. As I understand the question, I tried to summarize it, right, that it currently actually takes a long time to get to prosperity level 3, and how does this tie together with our vision of the game? That, right, this is a session in the evening game. It was always our goal, right? You can play one map in one bigger session. And for that, I can mostly say, right, we're still working on the balancing, especially on this more later game balancing. Right now, we're mostly focused on really getting the different factions on a good state where we play well, we're fair. Right? I think you guys saw that we worked on Crusade because we were a little bit too overpowered.
Yeah.
Now we're exploring how we actually feel, right? Heard some rumors, but some people think they're a little bit maybe over-nerfed now. So these are the things in balancing we're focusing on right now. But this whole like economy progression is also still something we have in mind during early access. So there's a little bit of patience, right? That we bring this in like in a really good state. And what Quentin said before, what we also still want to do, right, is make this whole like sequencing of animations, these small waiting points you sometimes have in the game, a little bit smoother, a little bit more faster, right? So it just flows better and nicer, and you have actually more gameplay and less waiting time.
Yeah, exactly. Coming back to game content, this time question from Hedalus, who I'm pronouncing it right again. What other languages are you planning to add to the game? So in general, we want to try and support as many languages as it makes sense. And what I mean by it makes sense is countries where people are buying the game. And we just put out an update recently for Turkish with, so that was, what day are we? We're Tuesday. It was Thursday, last Thursday. So yeah, and now we are looking, I mean, I don't know if this has been officially announced, but I don't think it's
announced now officially. The next one will be Italian.
Exactly. The Italian language will be added. So end August, probably early September. It depends on whether we decide to bundle it with a planned update or we just push it. In the end, for us, it's not very, of course, we have to get the localization files, but once we have the localization files, to implement it in the game, it's quite fast, and we just then have to push the update out following of course, the release checklist to make sure we don't, by chance, push a bug into production on Steam. But yeah, so Italian, and then we have a pile of other languages which we are considering. So what I can say, and this is not a guarantee that we will do it, let's say in September, but we're looking at languages like Czech, Ukrainian, traditional Chinese, and many others. Again, we look at where people are playing our game, also what people are requesting on the different forums, whether it's Steam, Discord, and putting what makes sense.
There are also a quick shout out, right? If you have any feedback regarding the localization itself, we have in the Discord actually a channel for that called EA Localization. Feel free to drop by there if you see something where you want to give us feedback. You say like, hey, this is cool, this is a little bit weird, right? We speak a lot of languages actually in the team, so we so far have managed to cross-read most of them, but we don't speak everyone.
Fun fact, when we were going to release in early access, since I'm the only French-speaking person in the studio, and that France was actually one of the biggest countries, I had to go, well, I didn't have to, nobody pushed me, but I decided willingly to go in the text and adjust a lot of things because, there's always stuff you can improve. Language, text, localization in general is this kind of thing where you have to apply the 2080 rule, and that sometimes better is the enemy of good.
And actually, we have a lot of text in the game.
We do. It's actually, I think, 70, and we don't even have maps 5 to 8 yet released, but I think it's over 70,000 words. Of course, only a third is spoken, the rest is non-spoken. But yeah, that's quite a lot in general.
Okay, should I take the next one? So this one is by Alex SPB, and they ask, is there any chance we'll get a separate Crusade campaign sometime in the future? For example, a campaign about conquering Erengard. So, good question. I will not rule it out completely that we ever gonna do that. This will not be part of the main campaign. So I think that we can tell you so far. We are of course still looking into what's basically next after the main story. Maybe an expansion pack, and then in that one also, right? Do we want to continue what has been told in the main story, or is it more that we want to branch out in a different area of the game? But one of the things where it's more realistic that you actually will see things like that is this scenario mode or challenge maps, I think we called it in the last roadmap, which is a game mode somewhere between skirmish and the full campaign, right? Where we give you like really pre-scripted individual maps, and that could be like a cool place where you have like, you can experience one of the segments of the story where you get a kind of a prologue or a sequel or something like that. So I think this is the more realistic thing right now, where we could tell you a unique, new, cool story. But yeah, maybe it's also expansion pack, but that one we haven't logged in fully yet.
Yeah. This one, let's say a more lighthearted question on the game lore. Does Lorelai's bull have a name? Actually, it does. Yes. It's that guy over here. He does have a name, but the line mentioning it was cut for various reasons, and the name he had was Savar, so Xavar. But yeah, since it's not said anymore, I guess the could name him anything still.
Well, I guess it's still part of the official lore.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, true.
Exclusive fact here.
Exactly. Thinking it's something that you will not find
anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have another question about the game balancing. And this is very detailed.
Yeah.
What is the actual power scale being used to determine the strength of a unit? Quentin, you maybe want to jump in that one? I think you're more in the details.
Yeah, okay. And also that one is actually, I asked game design to the rescue because I obviously did not know. So I just have to pull out the answer. I'm not being rude, checking my phone. It's just I have to check the answer that game design told me. So I'll read the entire question first. What is the actual power scale being used to determine the strength of a unit? So the value of, we don't have very clear tiers like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and then all units they fall into one of these tiers. The power is decided, obviously that's balanced by game design, but it's values that are between, I believe, 1 to 5. And then, depending on the unit, they will have perks or certain capacities that make the unit more or less useful, more or less dangerous. For example, healers, there are healers and spawners with low power, but they're units that then are very useful. So you can't say that they're a tier 1 power unit, because if you just look at the power, well, you could say they're a tier 1 power unit because if you just look at the power value, they're just at 1. But given the effect that they have, the healing capacity that they have on, for example, bigger units, their usefulness just jumps right there. So yeah, we don't have, like I said, a tiered system. It's more liquid, more flexible, and it's all then about balancing those units depending on the feedback we get.
So I would say it's a combination, right, of the numbers, the stats the units have, like how we like see them, how strong they are with the different perks we have in combination, what they can do. And if you want to get a hint, right, this is we have like the super rough classification in the game with the bronze, silver, and gold tier frames. So that's kind of the thing. Internally we use kind of as a power value just roughly to navigate the game and help us with balancing, but it's not really accurate, right? Because you can't say like, right, this unit is very strong against X, but weak against Y. So it's not like this is just like simply DPS versus health, and that fully determines how strong the unit is, right? The game is a little bit more complex with the different perks, advantages.
Yeah. All right. The next question goes. It's a game design question. This one. Maybe you can do the one just afterwards.
Yeah, I can do that one. So that's actually a very good question, and it's about the penalty when getting ambushed. What's actually really happening there in terms of the numbers? So right now, what you get is a power decrease by 1. So actually, your army is a little bit weaker when getting ambushed. And I think the more obvious thing is what you all get, right? Is in the beginning you have the stun of around 6 seconds. This is what the values we have right now. We still may want to tweak them. I think in the beginning we had a much higher power decrease actually, but then it was really overpowering.
Yeah, it was punitive, like very, very punitive. So we lowered it.
And it's actually one of the things where I think it can actually get a little bit lost easily, right? But you don't understand they actually have a power decrease. This is maybe something also in the future we want to communicate a little bit better.
And also, it actually is the kind of topic, I mean, that's game development in general, which ties into, let's say, the balancing choices and dev choices. Because, for example, right now, the AI armies, if they want to move to a certain point, even if they go from marching, they go from, I don't know what the name of the base formation to marching formation. So marching formation is when on the map, your army all of a sudden becomes a long line, and then you become ambush prone. If you get attacked, you get ambushed. And AI armies currently, they do not factor in this idea that, oh, there's an army nearby. If I go into marching formation, I'm in danger, can be potentially ambushed. That's something we have on our list of improvements typically, but the moment we change this, then the AI is smarter, and ambushes, we might then put them back up, because if you manage to ambush, you should be rewarded, because it would be much more difficult to ambush then if the AI avoids going into this formation. So it's the kind of change that isn't just like a bouncing, it's also tied to the general behavior. And yeah, if you move the needle somewhere, the needle has to move elsewhere to stay fair.
Next question we have is actually very easy to answer. Does the Stronghold perk, which gives garrison fortified +1, right, stack actually on already garrisoned and fortified location? And the simple answer is yes.
Yes.
Next one.
All right. Again, for all those who have joined us recently, feel free to ask questions in the chat, whether it's about the game, the development process, anything. Bernhard and I will try to answer.
Also, if you have feedback or you want to comment on something, something is unclear for you on the roadmap, or just random things.
Yeah. Next question. This one is actually now a game development question from RazorCon, which, by the way, very active in general on Discord. We love it. I mean, same thing as Salt plus Jesus and others, but yeah, we see you. So the question is, what was the most difficult thing in development? And this is a very interesting question, especially for us production. But first of all, the preliminary answer would be, well, it depends on what stage of development we are at. Now, I'm assuming that you're talking about like the current stage, which is the production / live ops process, because we have to continue building the game, but also push things out regularly. And yeah. So I'll answer something, and then Bernhard, feel free to add anything.
Yeah, I can talk a lot of anecdotes here.
There's a bunch of anecdotes. So in general, the main difficulty is the fact that we have intertwined systems. Like I said, if you move the needle somewhere, then you have to adjust and change things somewhere else, and it can even break things. An example is the AI. The AI, we're trying to improve it constantly, and at some point we let the AI, for example, play cards in battle. Before, it was just attacking you and it didn't play cards. Of course, that wasn't like in early access. That was the case already. But when it started, the game design team already did a balancing pass on the campaign maps and in skirmish. And then as soon as the AI could be able to play battle cards in battle, that made their power shoot through the roof, because all of a sudden they had more weapons to use against the player. And this required then overhauling whole of campaign maps. And usually as soon as we do an AI improvement, we have to, not immediately, and it depends also on how big that update is, but at some point we have to go through all the campaign maps, all the skirmish settings, the skirmish balancing, and we have to adjust. So yeah, it's really this idea of having intertwined systems that if you change something, you have to think of all the edge cases. And more recently, we released update 0.6 on August 1st. This was our first big early access roadmap update, and the two key features there were controller support. So this is just UI UX thing. It is very difficult nonetheless, but it wasn't, let's say, purely gameplay. And the improvement to the movement system. And this thing, this movement system improvement, was typically the thing where you improve it and then you have to change a bunch of things everywhere. For example, it allows it tolerates more the idea of bumping into potentially locations and armies and letting you go through, because before you really had to avoid the whole area around the army. It wasn't a big area, but still you could be frustrated because you're like, why can't I go through here? I mean, it's obvious that I should be able to go through, and you couldn't. So the movement system allowed you to do that. But then we realized two things. First of all, players could all of a sudden go in between the terrain and a location that had a scripting blocker in campaign, so meaning a story step that you had to go through, and so they could potentially pass that story step and slip through a trigger, what we call in game design. And if the player had slept through that trigger, slipped through the trigger, then it would soft lock potentially the game. So we had then to adjust all the locations, not all of them, but sanity check all the location and adjust some in the campaign and skirmish. And also, it actually had an impact on the AI movement we discovered, which doesn't seem to cause bugs or crashes, but yeah, we're still keeping an eye on this at the moment. So that was a big challenge. This movement system, that was a really the pinnacle of difficult things in game development, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely second your 2 points, right? I think it's for everybody obvious that this is tricky to do in a strategy game, and I mean, you all know it from the other games, right? This is it never feels right that strong as a human player who really understands the game, because right, you really have to teach the system like how to weight different things, what to prioritize in a certain aspect, and there's so many variables and conditions to take into place. That's it's not just you give it a simple rule system and then you get great decisions. But I think this was one of the things we were definitely always aware that this will be tricky AI-wise
Yeah.
to pull off. With the movement, because we have this free-form movement system, right, versus like traditional, more like hex-based system. I think we thought that it's going to be easier. It doesn't have so many edge cases. But yeah, as Quentin already told you, right, this is actually proven to be more tricky when we actually thought to pull off. And I think you saw with the last update that we're still working on it, still did some improvements, and it has this challenge that it in a way, right, is a very free system, but then it's still a rule-based system, so it kind of brings like these challenges from both worlds. And one of the things which you probably do not see in the game, but it was also something we, especially in the beginning of the development, spent a lot of time to figure it out, was the whole like map generation for skirmish maps, and how much randomness do we want to allow there, or can we allow there. In the beginning, we were on a path where we wanted to have it like really 100% everything fully random. We don't have to pre-generate nothing, and yeah, that had also been proven to be tricky, right? Because there's some parameters you need to have on the map, right? If you make the distances then between the cities too large, old raids can't connect them anymore. Things like that. So there's a lot of things of this which you actually need to take into account.
Yeah, because the old race, like the base mechanic is, it's a, let's say, a defense-oriented faction. It has attack, of course, units, but the idea is you link your locations, those who are closest to one another, and by linking the locations, you get a big boost in how much resources your locations get you. And then you can build very powerful armies. So obviously, if the locations are too far from one another and all of a sudden they cannot link, then the old race becomes a naked chicken, basically. So yeah.
We actually got a cool question here in the chat. Will there be a possibility for teams in skirmish and multiplayer, Quentin?
Long story short, yes.
Yes.
So we are working on it right now. I could grab a dev by the collar and say, "Hey, are you working?" Yes, thank you. So we want, it's something that has been we've always had actually on our roadmap, and it has been requested once we released the game in early access. Great news. I'm glad you're that enthusiastic.
Yeah, it's also something we would love, right, to play. I think this is a really great game to play. I play with Quentin against a team of AI or a team of you guys, and right, you also share this one, give a little bit more insights what this will mean, right? You will basically share a team, you share victory conditions, you will be able
the
to
visibility, the fog
exactly
of war.
to share your fog of war, so you can actually also see what's going on there. So yeah, this should come up with the really next big update.
Yeah. It's in a good way, and it's actually working nicely, right now.
Co-op with a friend against AI. Yeah, exactly. This is one of the use cases we also see, right? And
yeah, and
we also want to buff the AI still a little bit. So I mean, you can just add more AIs. That's one option, but
I was gonna say it's once we have the system, it's not just about being able to play with a friend. It's actually a base system that we can then leverage for the challenge map, the scenarios, create some specific things, and mixed with fates, it can be quite. I'm pretty sure it can be quite interesting. Can yield quite interesting gameplay opportunities. So yeah. Then moving on, I guess you can take them.
So that was the question actually also from community. So in fields was like, what form of feedback do we prefer? Should you keep it long and super detailed or short? And I would say it's both fine, right? We're happy on all of the feedback. If you keep it short, it's easy for us to read, but we may have questions back, right, on like what you mean by certain things and so on. But yeah, we also read long texts. It's all fine.
Yeah. Just one thing to be transparent is, in general, say what you want, but we probably will not be able to implement 1-1 what you're saying for a various number of reasons. So keep that in mind. And don't worry, we read it, we take it in. It's just rather be transparent. I don't want anyone to get frustrated. That put in the amount of effort that you think is right for the feedback that you want to give. Of course, if you give feedback and we think it's quite important and we actually would want more info, we will reach out to you. I know it happens quite a bit with bugs. Typically, if players report bugs, QA will message, whether on Discord or via DM, can you send me your save files, etc., to retrieve this? And yeah, to a certain extent, it's also done with.
But yeah, we're fine with all of text, right? So it's all good. And usually we don't have to ask less.
Yeah. Just please put it in the appropriate channels in Discord or even on the Songs of Silence dedicated website.
Move it. It's also fine.
Yeah. I mean, on Steam we can move it, but in Discord I don't think we can move it.
Yes.
But yeah. All right.
I think we still had some in the chat here, right?
No. This was all covered. Yeah, except this one.
No, the last one. Oh, that one.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, we had a great question. If you had to take one of the neutral creatures as a pet, which one would you choose, and how would you feed it? And I tell you, I would definitely take a swarter. I love these. Just from the design, they're very cool. And, they're like a board to me. So I think you can train them like a truffle pig. You just can feed them truffles, and then it goes searching in wood for you. Something like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, Swarter's my favorite.
Swarter is the big battle pig, in case you're wondering. And I mean, we're in Germany, we're in Bavaria. What did you expect? There's the forests here, less than an hour of train, a lot of truffle spots, I believe. So
actually, they're more in Italy, but it's fine. In the Piedmont region.
And for me, if I had to pick, so by the way, the question is from Sad Glitter Bunny, also very active in general on Discord. So thanks for the question. Shout out. So if I had to take one neutral creature as a pet, I actually at first I thought it would be the feathered hound.
Oh.
And then I imagined the feathered hound shedding its feathers in the summer or maybe even winter. I don't know. And then I'd be like, okay, great. I have feathers all over my flat. So yeah, I'm not sure. But Pip, the little kobold.
Pip is not a neutral creature. He's a hero, man.
Yeah, he's a hero. I mean, you can capture the hero if you want, but the kobolds. I mean, you can fight also with kobolds. So I guess.
Yeah. And the last time I talked about designers, there were some details on the lore of the kobolds, which I'm totally unaware of.
Yeah.
But maybe we can do a different session.
But what I can
the lore.
But just to give you a sneak peek, kobolds in the lore are able to actually travel to teleport between the light and dark side without using purgatories. So maybe there is going to be some kind of hidden secret tied to this. Let's say that we experimented with the current systems that we have and we found that we could make something work. So I won't say any more because otherwise the game designers...
You know more than I do.
It's a very recent finding. But if I speak too much, I think I will have the game designers come over with pitchforks and torches that I'm spoiling some things. But yeah, so funny things about the kobolds in general. All right, so we can speak. We're gonna speak now a little more about the game roadmap. We still have 15 minutes, but if you have questions about the team, the game, the development process, the lore, anything, please write it in the chat or on the Discord, the dedicated channel in the Ask the Team channel. Because right now we've gone through all the questions that were sent to us prior to the AMA. But yeah, so what I can say currently about the development. So we are working on the update number 2, the big update number 2. Update number 2 will hold the co-op multiplayer, like we said. Also, the big feature where we want to put in is the difficulty levels. So this is something that players have requested in various shape or form, because some people were saying, "Oh, I would like to be able to go through the lore and the overall environment more easily without having to do too much battles." And some people were saying, "Oh, I want a more hardcore." Strategically challenging experience. We think, and this is why we prioritize the difficulty modes, because then we would be able to cater to the different play styles.
Yeah, and I mean, right, that's one of the points what you mentioned earlier, why it's sometimes not that easy to follow up on every feedback one by one, right? Because this is certainly one aspect where we get a lot of feedback, somebody saying, oh, no, it's way too hard. And we make it easier, and somebody says like, no, it's way too easy, right? And I totally get it, right? There will be 3 difficulties, I think, what we have currently outlined, right? A story-based mode, which is so you don't have too much of a challenge completing the game. So if you just want to enjoy it, this is for you. Then there is basically the normal, which we have right now, which should be this balance of provides you some challenge, and you have to play the game how it's intended to be, but it's not like you need to figure out every super tiny detail, and then this more hardcore mode, which is really about, we have bosses and you really need to find what's the right combination for this boss, and you will probably fail a couple of times, you have to reload, but the fun is really in figuring out the challenges and the different combinations we have here, and you're really using all the features in the game, what we talked also before earlier, right, about all units having their place, like what's really the right unit now to attack these guys, because we have this certain layout of combination, right? How do you actually rearrange your army layout to get the best out of it? So that will be then really important for the more hardcore game mode.
Yeah, obviously we don't aim to have a Souls-like difficulty and you have to start 30 times over the map. That's not what we're aiming for. But yeah, the idea and the idea, what I can say about the difficulty and how it works, there is going to be the classic, okay, the AI gains a little more XP, or the AI gains a little more resource, etc. But we also will have features, for example, what we call the diplomacy feature, where if you have an AI, and actually this might also be brought into skirmish, because we're looking into having difficulty modifiers for skirmish. But the AI will at some point have what we call the diplomacy feature, where if you become too overpowered compared to the other factions, then the AI will focus on you. And what we can adjust then for the difficulty levels is the threshold on which the AI starts saying, okay, now that guy is too powerful. Let's gang up on him and beat him up.
I think we always call it the gang up feature.
Yeah, the ganging up feature.
So right, it needs to be like one player is just getting too strong, they more or less start to focus on them versus fighting against each other. Which sometimes, if you play it right now, right, you can just. When I played often in the early days skirmish, I just waited for the AIs to kill each other and then I just walk in.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's a little bit too easy.
Yeah, and then on actually difficulty and co-op, we have further ideas. We're building the features with a, let's say, V1 in mind, but we also have then V2, which we can't promise that will be in, and also it's not relevant to talk about them right now because we still haven't put out the V1, but we always want to try and ship a new feature as soon as possible to then get feedback from you as soon as possible and make the necessary adjustments, and hopefully maybe what you say is in line with what we had planned for a V2. If that's the case, great. If that's not the case, then we look at the different pieces of feedback and we iterate on this or that feature based on what you say.
And that's actually I think where I really want to do a shout out, right? We did this, for example, with the new movement system, that on Discord we have a closed beta group. You can apply for it, join us there, right? And we will probably always release bigger things there first.
Yeah.
So you can actually play them. give us feedback, and we especially also want to do this still for the upcoming campaign missions. So there will be the chance that you can actually play them before anyone else, right? Tell us like what you like about it, how you see the difficulty. So this is certainly something coming up rather soon. So we'll do some shout outs again on this one. But if you're interested in all of this, right, join us on Discord. This is where we organize it. There's a separate channel where you can apply for this. And we're going to add you to the list of people where we will do an earlier update. And you have a preview of the things coming up.
Yep, exactly. And then the other features we are working on this time that are also purely community requests is the choose your next hero in skirmish. So that was one of the also the most voiced improvements that players you wanted. So that's the idea that when you're playing skirmish, at some point you are offered to recruit a new hero, and before it was basically random. You just played the card and you couldn't choose. Now you're gonna have the option to choose between, I think it's one hero of your faction, one hero of another faction, and a neutral. I think it's something like this. I don't have the specs under, but overall you will have pools of heroes to choose from when you want to recruit a new one in skirmish and multiplayer as well. So there's this. There is also, I mean, we have some other minor quality of life improvements, like warning before quitting a game if you hit escape by accident, this kind of thing. And there's another one, I forgot about it. It's choose your next hero. Oh well. But so we're working on that as well. And for the scenario challenge maps, we are finalizing actually the specs, and once we have finalized the specs, we will start the production of the first scenarios X challenge maps. So yeah, we hope the idea is to reuse. We have a lot of functionalities of commands that we built for the campaign, and the idea is to reuse what we can, and if we need to build some more, then we will build them. But yeah, we already have a lot of systems.
And of course, right, we're working on campaigns. This is really still a big publish to finalize it. We're working currently also new heroes, things like that, things to release to you, so you have a little bit more content coming up. And one of the big things, right, you saw that we support now the game on Steam Deck. We have the full controller support. And this is also, right, because we want to bring you a console version of the game. So this is also something right now. Yeah, we're really in it, right? Playing it on the dev kit.
Yeah,
and final steps.
And on the topic of the campaign maps, we were actually talking about it this morning because we had to get an update internally. Map 5 is in a internal playtesting state, which means that we have the scripting done, the balancing holds the line, and we want to try it out internally. And this is why Bernhard was saying that we could actually bring it then to private beta testing branch soon-ish. Maps 6 and 7, they are in being balanced. So we have the scripting that we want, and we are just balancing out so it plays nicely. And map 8, we are still working on the scripting itself, and then we'll move on to the balancing. So yeah.
Maybe just a teaser where, right, these maps are more complicated than the ones we have in the beginning, you know, especially map 1 and map 2 were rather short, right? Map 8, we have some surprises in the back for you, so this is really going to be a big one. So this is why it also takes a little bit of time to really get it working fine with all the things.
We got a new question from Barcode incoming again. Will the additional campaign maps be released in? So that was what we were saying. We on Discord there is this beta tester channel which you can apply to, and we did this actually for map 2. So just to put some context, when we released map 2 in early access, long story short, we got a flurry of comments saying it's too long. We can't hide properly, we don't understand things, please rework it. So we rehauled it and we created a separate private beta testing branch And in that private testing branch, we gave it to players. We checked it out. We had a player survey go out. We checked the data, and we saw that the problems that were initially voiced on the release of early access had been fixed, and it was actually quite interesting. It's when you. It's hard to show graphs here. I could.
It's fine. The short answer would be right. So yes, it will be certainly in closed beta before early access. Depending on the feedback we get and how long we need to all finalize and adjust it, we may release one or two, maybe earlier, maybe not. This is not set in stone yet, so no promises right now. Expect that if you're not in closed beta, you will at full launch see them all. But right, this also depends a little bit on the exact timing, how long things take. So I can't really give you a fixed answer yet. But if you're interested, sign up for the closed beta.
Yeah. In general, if you want to try out things before everyone, Discord closed beta, and then you get in the loop.
That's another one. Are we going to be at Gamescom, Quentin?
Are we going to be at Gamescom? Yes, we are.
I'm not, but you are.
Yes, I will be there, and other people. We're gonna have a booth, and Chimera Entertainment and Songs of Silence more specifically. We are going to be in the Indie Arena booth from Wednesday until Sunday, basically. So personally, I will be there Wednesday, Thursday, and the first half of Friday, and then there's going to be a relay team for the weekend. There will be actually the game designer. So in the first 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there is going to be Ilchin, which I hope you all know by now. There's going to be Laura, the game designer, and me. From the Chimera. There's also going
I think Alex is also there.
Oh yeah, Alex. Although he may be in meetings.
He's a busy man.
But so we will be 4 from Chimera, and then there's going to be additional people from the publishing team, which are part of RCP.
I think also Eduard is there, one of our level designers.
And then from Friday until Sunday, we're going to have Edward and Dimitri, so also 2 game designers. So we will have quite a very active presence there. If you happen to go to Gamescom, come see us, give us a shout out. There you'll be able to play, of course, the game. But what I can say is you could even get maybe a sneak peek into if everybody is nice. They even get a sneak peek into the later maps.
Yeah. And the rest of us will stay in Munich and actually continue working on the game, right? Because we have a lot of stuff we talked about, we still want to do, and this needs to get done.
Yeah, exactly. August is a very particular month in general for everyone every company, but even so more in game design, because there's the major events like Gamescom. We were at Tacticom before this. There's going to be more stuff in September, and people have to take vacation also. So it's a very, from a production point of view, you have to juggle with a lot of things at the same time.
Yeah, but we are really focused on pushing the game forward. So this is really our mission. So if you're there, right, meet up with the guys. Also give them feedback.
You can arrive with a slab of paper and say, here's my feedback. Bam. We'll take it. So yeah.
Cool. I think we're running towards the end, right?
Yeah.
Just 1 minute left.
Exactly. Anything last words, Bernhard, on your side?
No, it was really fun having the session with you guys. Gamescom, I think, will be next, right? Do we have a stream next week? Actually, I think not, right? Because
next week, because
everybody is there. I don't think we will have a chance to live stream from there. It will be very loud and noisy in the indie arena, so I guess the next one will be the week afterwards. I'm pretty sure Ilchin will be there, tell you all the fun stories of Gamescom, what happened, who we met, feedback we got, and then we should also be able to give you already news on the newest update. Not a fixed date yet, but we're getting closer. So there's more stuff coming up, and I once again will ask you, if you want to have cool exclusive previews, right, join us in Discord, get involved in the closed beta. That's the best way to see stuff first.
Exactly. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We will upload this video then to YouTube if you want to rewatch it. And yeah, have a great day. Take care and see you soon.
Yeah, it was great meeting you guys. We go back to work now.
Yep.
Continue working on the game, right? So have a great day.
Cheers, everyone. Goodbye.